My parents claimed they wouldn't come to my wedding, insisting that Omar's birthday celebration took precedence. Your marriage is a disgrace, they declared. My sister even snickered, calling me a naive handyman bride, having a dowry ceremony. I simply smiled and replied, "Fine, but don't say I didn't warn you." On the wedding day, a throng of people gathered while cameras flashed. Then my parents dashed in, clearly panicked and out of breath. Mornings in Boston always started quietly. Elizabeth Monroe sat by a museum window, gazing out at the snowy common garden and sighing. "Elizabeth, how's the new arrivals display coming along?" The curator, Martha, called out. Elizabeth spun around with a gentle smile. "It'll be perfect once I hang these last two paintings. We'll be all set for the opening this weekend." Now in her 8th year as a museum curator, her work at the Boston Museum of Contemporary Art filled her with a quiet pride. Respect from colleagues and the trust of visitors stemmed from her expertise and insights. Yet all of that faded when she returned home. Her cell phone buzzed, a message from her mother. "Family dinner tonight at 7. Christina has news about her promotion. Don't be late." Elizabeth stared at the screen and sighed. Her reply was curt. "Understood." This exchange was typical for her and her parents. That evening, standing in front of the Monroe family mansion, she was greeted by her father, Robert, a renowned real estate developer, and her mother, Patricia, a pillar of Boston high society. "Elizabeth, you're finally here," Patricia said as she met her at the door, her eyes betraying mild disappointment. "That outfit. Did you come straight from the museum?" Glancing down at her simple pantsuit, Elizabeth responded, "I wasn't aware it would be a fancy event." "Family gatherings matter as much as fancy parties," Patricia said, draping an arm around her. "Christina's already here, and your sister is positively glowing." In the living room, Robert and Christina were sharing laughter. Christina, impeccably dressed in a Gucci dress and flawless makeup, stood beside her father. Since launching her career at a Wall Street investment bank, their parents had clearly favored her more. "You're here," Christina said brightly. "Guess what? I got promoted to associate director at Warren Investments. I'm the first in their history to make it in my 20s. Robert beamed with pride. "Our family's shining star. I'm so proud of you, Christina." Elizabeth, smiling warmly, hugged her sister. "Congratulations, Christina. That's truly wonderful." As dinner unfolded, every conversation turned toward Christina's triumphs and Robert's business ventures, while Elizabeth's work at the museum was dismissed as merely a pleasant pastime. "Elizabeth, don't you think it's time to consider a real career?" Patricia prodded while pouring wine. "Art is beautiful, but there must be a field where you can truly shine. Perhaps even join your father's company?" "Mother, I'm content with my work," Elizabeth replied, calmly but firmly. Then she announced, "I have something to share. I'm engaged. Michael proposed and I accepted." A heavy silence fell over the table. Christina fixed her eyes on the ring. "You're marrying that plumbing technician," she said, her tone incredulous. "Not just a plumber, he's a professional plumbing technician. Michael Foster is caring, thoughtful, and listens to me," Elizabeth corrected softly. Robert and Patricia exchanged disappointed glances. "Surely you could choose a more suitable match," Patricia murmured, her voice laced with disdain. "Christina's colleagues are brilliant, Harvard and Yale graduates. Michael is the person I've chosen," Elizabeth said with a steady calm as she continued her meal. Her voice, usually soft, now carried an uncharacteristic firmness. That night, Elizabeth recalled the day she met Michael a year ago. The museum's pipes had burst, and he arrived to fix them. His focused determination and the thoughtful questions he asked about the exhibits as he worked had sparked a connection. After sharing coffee, their relationship blossomed naturally. Michael's genuine interest and respect for her passions were qualities Elizabeth had never found in her own family. Later, back in her apartment, she dialed Michael. His warm, soothing tone reached her immediately. "How did it go?" he asked. Elizabeth laughed as she looked up at the starry Boston sky through her window. "It's okay, we have our life to build." For the first time in a long while, she felt wholly herself. One bright Saturday afternoon in spring, as sunlight bathed the streets of Boston, Elizabeth and Michael sat in the living room of their modest apartment, planning their wedding. Florist catalogs, a pamphlet from a quaint little church, and a handwritten guest list lay scattered on the table. How about the last weekend in May? Elizabeth suggested, pointing to the calendar. It'll be after the big exhibition at the museum, and the weather should be nice. Michael draped an arm around her. Sounds perfect. I want an intimate, heartfelt ceremony. What do your parents say? Elizabeth hesitated. 2 weeks after the engagement announcement, not a congratulatory call or message had come from them. Despite the silence, she hoped things might change. I'll let them know the final date today, she resolved. That very evening, Elizabeth visited her parents' home. While sipping coffee in the reception room, she began carefully. We've decided on May 28th for the wedding, a small ceremony, but I hope the entire family will be there. Robert and Patricia exchanged glances. Patricia frowned. May 28th, that's Christina's birthday. It's such an important day. Elizabeth was taken aback. I didn't realize it was her birthday. Oh, I nearly forgot, Patricia said, though her tone remained firm. We could adjust the date a little. Robert's voice rose. No, you shouldn't change Christina's special day. She's hosting a grand party at the Plaza Hotel. Then maybe we should move the wedding to the weekend before? Elizabeth suggested, uncertainly. But Patricia cut her off harshly. The issue isn't just the date. We can't possibly support your marriage to that plumbing technician. Elizabeth intervened softly. He isn't just a plumber. He's a professional and he's wonderful. Her father coldly added. There's no need to even meet him. A Monroe daughter marrying a working-class man would tarnish our reputation. Just then, Christina burst into the room, gleefully clutching expensive shopping bags. What's everyone discussing? She asked. Your sister plans to wed on May 28th, Patricia explained, her voice laced with condescension. Christina's expression darkened instantly. On my birthday? That's out of the question. I already have a party planned at the Plaza Hotel. We told her we can't attend, Patricia said, moving closer to her daughter. Elizabeth stood silently for a moment before speaking. I understand. If you can't come, so be it. Christina glared at her with disdain. Really? You're going to marry that plumbing technician? How do you expect your wedding to look when he has no money? Maybe some shabby DIY affair. Aren't you embarrassed? A sting of hurt passed through Elizabeth, yet she maintained her composure. Our wedding will reflect who we are. Michael and I cherish each other for our true selves, not for appearances or societal expectations. Christina scoffed. Isn't that touching? But face reality, you're just a museum employee, and he's just a plumbing technician. Your wedding would be an embarrassment. After a brief silence, Elizabeth took a steady breath and said quietly, Fine. If you choose not to attend, I respect your decision, but don't say you weren't warned. Her tone held a strange firmness, a warning that none in the family fully grasped. After Elizabeth left, Michael enveloped her in a warm embrace. Are you all right? He asked gently. Yes, she whispered with a smile. Our wedding will be wonderful, even if it's just us. Michael softly kissed her hair. Don't worry, I need you. That's all that matters. Over the next few weeks, Elizabeth and Michael immersed themselves in wedding planning. They booked a small historic church in a Boston suburb and carefully planned simple yet elegant decor. Handmade invitations, infused with their heartfelt sentiments, were sent out. Museum colleagues and Michael's friends sent their sincere congratulations and helped with the details. Meanwhile, Elizabeth's parents and sister were preoccupied with Christina's birthday preparations, often hinting in messages that perhaps she might reconsider her plans. 2 weeks before the wedding, Elizabeth visited a charming boutique for her final dress fitting. The dress was simple yet elegant, accentuating her natural beauty. You look absolutely stunning, the boutique owner enthused. Your family must be so proud. Elizabeth smiled, admiring her reflection in the mirror. I'm sure they are, she said softly. She saw herself in the ivory silk gown, flowing gracefully with delicate lace touches that added a subtle elegance. Thank you, she murmured. I hope Michael will be completely captivated. Jennifer, her friend, placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. But what about your parents? They're not coming, are they? Shaking her head, Elizabeth replied. That's all right. Today belongs to Michael and me. Just then, a commotion erupted outside the church. Jennifer peeked through the gap in the curtains and gasped, "Oh my gosh, Elizabeth, look outside." Rushing to the window, Elizabeth saw luxury cars arriving one after another. Bentleys, Rolls-Royces, Ferraris, and even news vans were parked along the street. "What on earth is happening?" she asked, her eyes wide with confusion. Soon there was a knock at the door. David, Michael's best friend, stepped in looking uneasy. "Elizabeth, I need to talk," he said. "What's going on outside?" "This is supposed to be our wedding, but it looks like a celebrity affair," she observed. David took a deep breath and said, "Michael wanted to tell you everything, but apparently time got away from him." He managed a tentative smile as he prepared to reveal the big surprise. It's time to reveal Michael's true identity. True identity? Elizabeth's brows knitted together. "What do you mean?" "You'd better hear it from him," David replied, just as he was stepping out of the room. At that moment, loud voices erupted from outside. "Wait please, we are the bride's family," a voice called out. Elizabeth froze. It was unmistakably her mother's. "I'm sorry, but you can't enter without an invitation," came the firm reply from a security guard. "We're her parents," came her father's angry retort. Grabbing the hem of her dress, Elizabeth rushed into the hallway. There, at the entrance to the church, stood her parents and Christina, their faces pale and tense. Her mother was dressed in designer clothes, her father in a sharp suit, and Christina in a high-end designer dress, having clearly hurried to get ready. "Mother, father, why are you here?" Elizabeth asked, striving for calm. At that, all three turned to her simultaneously, their expressions a mix of shock and confusion. Patricia was the first to speak as she rushed forward. "What's going on? Why are the Andersons here?" "The Andersons?" Elizabeth echoed, puzzled. "This morning's news." Christina piped up excitedly. "It said that the business tycoon behind Michael Anderson's wedding is having his ceremony today, and the picture of the venue is this church. A friend messaged me asking, 'Is it true your sister is marrying an Anderson?' It even trended on social media as the wedding of the Anderson heir." Elizabeth repeated softly, "Michael Anderson?" At that precise moment, David reappeared, followed by Michael, now dressed in an elegant tuxedo. Michael met her eyes, offering an apologetic smile. "I'm sorry I didn't have time to tell you," Michael said quietly. Elizabeth stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Michael, what's going on? Are you really part of the Anderson family?" Taking a deep breath, he nodded. "Yes, truly. I'm Michael Anderson Foster, the heir to Anderson Construction." The color drained from Elizabeth's face. "Anderson Construction? The global Fortune 500 company?" she whispered. "Exactly," he confirmed gently. "Before I took over the family business, I spent time training as an ordinary plumber to truly understand the work. And then I met you. You saw me for who I was, not for my wealth or title." Elizabeth was momentarily speechless. During their year together, the occasional expensive gift or hard-to-book restaurant reservation had simply seemed like coincidences. "But why didn't you tell me when your family rejected our relationship because of my job?" she asked softly. Michael's eyes filled with regret. "I wanted you to see me for my true self, not as a shortcut to social status. Telling you might have made you think I was using my money to win you over." During this exchange, Elizabeth's parents and Christina stared at them, mouths slightly open in disbelief. Finally, her father Robert spoke. "So you never knew?" Elizabeth looked calmly at him. "No, but that's not important. I love Michael for who he is, whether he's a plumber or the heir to a major corporation." Turning back to her family, she added with dignified firmness, "You weren't invited today, were you?" Patricia faltered. "But, yes, we are family," Elizabeth continued gently. "Yet you chose not to come to my wedding because you said Christina's birthday party was more important." Christina blushed, and before she could speak, Elizabeth interrupted. "If you had known, you would have come. It's not our love that's at fault. It's your fixation on Michael's social status." A heavy silence fell. Taking Michael's arm, Elizabeth smiled quietly. "I'm glad you're here on our special day. Please come in. We'll have seats for you in the back." Inside the church, many prominent figures were already seated. Politicians, celebrities, and business leaders who had come to show gratitude for the Anderson family's charitable efforts. Elizabeth's parents and Christina were ushered into the back row, their expressions a mix of regret and embarrassment. Christina, especially, was dumbfounded that the wedding she once sneered at as cheap had transformed into Boston's most talked-about event. Michael squeezed her hand. Leaning in, he whispered, "Ready?" She returned his smile. "Yes, more than ever." To the solemn sound of the pipe organ, Elizabeth began her walk down the central aisle. Frank, the museum director, proudly accompanied her as her escort in place of her father. Flanking the aisle were Michael's family, friends, business associates, and political dignitaries. Yet her focus stayed solely on Michael, standing at the altar with eyes full of gentle affection and quiet emotion. In the back, her parents and Christina stood in rigid silence, their faces marred by surprise, regret, and shame. Christina, particularly, was left speechless as the wedding she had dismissed became the grandest event of Boston society. At the altar, Michael gently took her hand. "You're beautiful," he murmured. As the priest began the ceremony, the church was wrapped in a respectful hush. Elizabeth and Michael locked eyes as they exchanged heartfelt vows. "I loved you when you were just a plumber," Elizabeth said with a warm smile. "And now I love you all the same as the heir to the Anderson family. I love you for who you are." Tears shimmered in Michael's eyes as he replied, "From the moment I met you, I knew true love. You saw me for my heart, not my status, and taught me that's what matters most." When the ceremony concluded, the newlyweds walked hand in hand down the aisle amid thunderous applause. Their smiles radiated gratitude toward every guest in attendance. Following the church ceremony, the reception was held at a magnificent estate in a Boston suburb. Michael's parents, Jonathan and Elizabeth Anderson, warmly welcomed the guests, beaming with joy at gaining a new family member. "Elizabeth, I am truly delighted to welcome you to our family," Michael's mother said as she embraced her. Michael's father added, "My son is incredibly fortunate." His gentle gaze echoed similarities to Michael's own, a quiet pride in his voice. Meanwhile, Elizabeth's parents and Christina lingered awkwardly at a corner of the hall, visibly out of place among the glittering guests. "We should go speak with them," Elizabeth said to Michael. "They are still my family." Michael gently squeezed her hand. "Let's go together." Approaching her family, Patricia's eyes welled with tears. Elizabeth, voice trembling slightly, said, "Thank you for your congratulations." Robert cleared his throat, admitting with difficulty, "We misunderstood, Michael, about you." Michael responded kindly, "I should have been completely honest earlier." Christina, head bowed in embarrassment, murmured, "Sis, I'm sorry for the hurtful things I said." Elizabeth answered softly, "Today is a day for blessings. Let's leave the past behind." The highlight of the evening came when the bride and groom took the stage to deliver their speeches. Michael raised his glass and began, "Today I feel the happiest I've ever been. When I met Elizabeth, I kept my secret because I wanted someone to love me for me. And Elizabeth loved me for a humble plumber. That is something I will always cherish." His words were met with warm applause. Then Elizabeth stood and said, "Often we judge by occupation, status, and wealth, but it is a person's character that truly counts. Michael showed me that love is about understanding and accepting one another for who we are." Her tone carried a subtle rebuke to her family, yet offered hope for reconciliation. Later, as the reception wound down, Elizabeth found a quiet moment in the garden. Her parents approached her hesitantly. "Elizabeth," her mother began in a trembling voice, "we are truly sorry. We never understood you." Her father followed with heartfelt regret. "We imposed our values on you instead of appreciating who you are. Please forgive us." Elizabeth looked at them, seeing sincere regret in their eyes. Today isn't about seeking forgiveness. It's a day to celebrate. But know that the door to rebuilding our relationship is always open. Overcome, Patricia embraced her daughter. "Thank you, Elizabeth." Soon, Christina joined them, offering a small gift box. "This was originally my birthday present, but today I want you to have it." Inside the box, Elizabeth discovered a stunning antique brooch. "Grandmother gave this to me," Christina explained, "and she told me to pass it on to someone truly precious. I realize that person is you." Elizabeth hugged her sister tightly. "Thank you, Christina." At that moment, Michael joined them, wrapping an arm around Elizabeth's waist. "Family, I look forward to our future together," he said gently. Under the soft glow of moonlight in the garden, new family bonds were quietly forged. In that tender moment, Elizabeth felt deep in her heart that no matter what secrets were hidden or misunderstandings endured, love and acceptance had finally united them all. Today was more than just a wedding day. For Elizabeth, it marked the moment she found the strength to embrace her true self and demand that others do the same. Michael leaned in close, whispering, "Happy?" With a radiant smile, she replied, "Yes, very much so." A year into their marriage, as spring blossomed, the Boston Museum of Art unveiled a special exhibition titled Community and Creativity as a Bridge. Standing arm in arm with Michael, now known as Elizabeth Anderson Foster, she mingled with the guests. Her face radiated fulfillment and quiet pride. "This exhibition is truly wonderful, Elizabeth," her mother, Patricia Monroe, remarked warmly from beside her. "It's so meaningful to give young local artists a chance." "Thank you, Mom," Elizabeth responded, genuine appreciation in her eyes. Over the course of the year, the bond between Elizabeth and her family had slowly mended. Although building complete trust would take time, the first step had been made. Her parents had begun joining for monthly Sunday brunches and visiting Elizabeth and Michael's home more often. Across the exhibition hall, Christina hurried over, clutching a stack of documents. "The NGO representatives have agreed. They'll join the Anderson Foster Foundation's next project," she announced excitedly. Having left her Wall Street job, Christina now poured her sharp business sense and boundless energy into the charitable foundation Elizabeth and Michael had established. "That's wonderful news," Elizabeth said as she embraced her sister. The change in their relationship was profound. Former competitiveness and jealousy had faded away, replaced by mutual recognition of each other's unique talents and a spirit of collaboration. Christina had even rethought her priorities. Moving away from a career-first mentality, she began to understand the importance of nurturing genuine human connections. Later, Michael's mother approached them. "Your collaboration is bearing fruit," she commented with a knowing smile. Michael's parents had shown Elizabeth the true meaning of parental love by always supporting the young couple while respecting their independence. With a playful glimmer in her eye, Elizabeth asked, "Any news about grandchildren yet?" The couple exchanged knowing smiles before Michael responded quietly, "Actually, we do have some good news." That same evening, during a dinner at home, Elizabeth rose with a wine glass in hand. Gathered around the table were Michael's parents, her own parents, and Christina. In a soft yet clear voice she declared, "I have an announcement for everyone. We're about to add a new member to our family." Joyful voices and applause filled the room as Jonathan, Michael's father, wrapped an arm around his son and said, "Congratulations, son." In that moment, Elizabeth felt she had discovered the truest image of family, not solely bound by blood, but by mutual respect and unwavering support. Surrounded by two families and on the brink of forging a new one, she looked up at the starry sky on the terrace with Michael by her side. "It's strange, isn't it?" she whispered. "If my parents had attended the wedding, do you think things could have turned out differently?" Michael pulled her into a warm embrace. "Sometimes people only understand what's truly precious after it's nearly lost," he replied softly. Elizabeth nodded, feeling no regret for the past but rather a hope-filled anticipation for the future. The family that she and Michael were building would learn from previous mistakes, founded on love and respect. "I want our child to learn the importance of being true to oneself," she confided, "and to understand that true value isn't about titles or status, but about the person inside," Michael added. In the gentle glow of the moonlight, Elizabeth felt completely happy. Life often takes unexpected turns. In her case, it wasn't just the revelation that the man she thought was a simple plumber was actually a wealthy heir. It was the journey toward re-examining her family ties and discovering the real essence of love and respect. "I love you, Elizabeth," Michael whispered tenderly. "I love you too, Michael. Now and always," she replied, her heart full of hope for the future they were creating together.